There's a unique silence that exists before a race begins. Not a peaceful silence, no. This is the kind that hums with tension, the kind that pulses like a heartbeat. Inside the cockpit, you can hear the blood in your ears. You're strapped in, gloved, armored, alert, a helmet over your head. Your vision narrowed to the track. There's no crowd, no commentary, no distractions, just asphalt, physics, and consequence. This is not a space for reflection, it's a crucible for decision. Motorsport is often mistaken for a spectacle of speed, but speed is only the byproduct. What we're really watching, if we're paying attention, is a study of obsession, a choreography of control and meditation on human limits. And in the vast landscape of cinema, only 3 films have ever truly understood what lies beneath the surface of the sport. Today we're covering 3 movies: Ron Howard's Rush 2013, Ford v Ferrari that was directed by James Mangold in 2019, and F1, a movie that recently came out this year in 2025, directed by Joseph Kosinski. These are not racing movies, these are psychological profiles. Characters' dissections performed at 200 miles per hour. Together they form a kind of trinity, not of genre, but of intent. Each examines a different face of racing souls: rivalry, rebellion, and reinvention. Let's begin at the source of the fire, Rush, the romance of ruin. Rush is not a film about who won the 1976 Formula One World Championship. It doesn't matter. The trophy is almost irrelevant. What matters is how close a man can get to death without letting it take him. Niki Lauda and James Hunt were not friends, nor were they true enemies. They were necessary to each other. One cold, one wild, one a tactician, the other a storm. Their rivalry was not a clash of egos, but of philosophies. Hunt drives like he's escaping something. Lauda drives like he's solving a problem. Neither can articulate it, but both know it instinctively. Only being pushed to the edge can they understand who they truly are. Howard's direction is urgent but elegant. Every frame pulses with adrenaline, but never loses sight of the men inside the machines. We are not watching cars, we are watching internal battles spill out onto tarmac. The pivotal moment of the film, Lauda's return after the horrific crash, is a triumphant beat. It's haunting. He steps back into the car with eyes still red from pain and bandages, fresh from the fire. And we understand. This is a man not chasing victory, he's chasing agency. If death comes for him, it will have to fight for it. Rush succeeds because it shows what racing costs, not in fame or fortune, but in flesh, memory, and fear. It dares to suggest that sometimes the most courageous thing a driver can do is choose to race again, not for victory, but for meaning. Ford v Ferrari, the soul in the machine, where Rush is explosive, Ford v Ferrari is methodical. If Rush is about the fire inside the man, Ford v Ferrari is about what happens when the fire is owned by someone else. Ken Miles is not a Hollywood protagonist. He's abrasive, difficult, brilliant. He doesn't crave approval. He craves truth in talk, in timing, in tire wear. Opposite him is Carroll Shelby, the middleman. The man who once lived at the edge, now forced to navigate boardrooms and deadlines. Together they form a fragile resistance against the great machine of Ford Motor Company. This film isn't about beating Ferrari, it's about the tragedy of translating passion into product. The GT40 isn't just a car, it's a protest, built not just to win, but to prove that corporate power can't manufacture soul. But then it does, and that's the heartbreak. Because Ford wins, but at what cost? The final act, Ken Miles slowing down to stage a photo finish, it's devastating. Not because it's unfair, because it's inevitable. In a world run by executives, there's no reward for integrity. There's only image. James Mangold doesn't give us catharsis. He gives us realism. In that moment, Miles wins the race. But not before he delivers the final lap. A moment of transcendence that no one can measure. And that's the legacy, that sometimes perfection has no witness but the self. That art, like racing, is something you do because you must. Even if no one sees it, even if no one remembers. And now F1, precision as poetry. Then comes F1, a film of our time, cold, quiet, terrifyingly intelligent. There's no romanticism here, no cigarettes, no chaos, just data. Telemetry, strategy, drones flying over the circuit like vultures. Every movement is tracked, every heartbeat logged. A racing is now less about instinct and more about adaptation. This is a film produced by Lewis Hamilton, and it shows. The central drama is not emotional but mental. A young driver defeats the reigning world champion, not with speed but with a feint, a move that anticipates psychology, that weaponizes expectation. There's no crash, no fireball, no scream, just a cold, overtaking maneuver in the final corner. Surgical, clean, and devastating. And Lewis Hamilton watches from the pit wall, not angry, not bitter, but proud. He knows he's witnessing evolution. The torch isn't passed, it's taken, because evolution doesn't wait for permission. And Lewis Hamilton watches from the pit wall, not angry, not bitter, but proud. He knows he's witnessing evolution. The torch isn't passed, it's taken, because evolution doesn't wait for permission. Where Rush gave us obsession, Ford v Ferrari gave us rebellion, and F1 gave us reinvention. It's these three motorsport films that reflect racing as it is today. Global, intellectual, commercial, algorithmic, and still achingly human underneath it all. F1 is about silence, the quiet before the move, the moment before strategy becomes legacy, the thread that binds them together. So what binds these three films together? Well, it's not the cars, it's not the races, it's not even the stakes. It's the loneliness. Each of these men, James Hunt, Niki Lauda, Miles, Joshua Pierce, the F1 prodigy, he sits in the cockpit alone, surrounded by thousands, loved by millions, but completely, utterly isolated in the moment before the lights go out. Their job is to push beyond the limit and make it look easy. But their journey are not heroic arcs. These are tragedies of dedication. Because what motorsport demands isn't just the skill, it demands everything. Time, relationships, health, and sanity. It gives nothing back except the opportunity to do it again. The silence before the lights, the scream before the engine, the stillness after the race. That is cycle. And in that cycle, they lose themselves. Rush, Ford v Ferrari, and F1 don't just portray motorsport. They deconstruct it. They hold a mirror up to the idea of greatness, and it shows us its scars. They remind us that speed is not the story. Obsession is. Loneliness. Sacrifice. Motorsport cinema is not about racing. It's about the people who forget to be human in order to chase something godlike. And these three films, they tell us the truth. Not the official truth, not the PR approved truth, but the internal one. The one whispered in helmets. The ones confessed in pit garages at 2 a.m. Rush, Ford v Ferrari, F1, 3 films, 3 languages, 1 truth. Speed doesn't make you a legend. Sacrifice does.